Hello there everybody, Bunny here, and last night Wildcard Studio decided to drop a massive Q&A community crunch for their upcoming title, ASA. Now there's a lot of information to unpack in this thing, but I figured I would just buzz through and discuss some of the highlights with you guys. First and foremost, this is the type of community crunch that they should have provided us with from the start. It's pretty concise and explains the reasoning for doing certain things, albeit it's devoid of the whole picture in many circumstances. For those of you who don't know, Ark Survival Ascended is basically an upgraded version of ASC with a complete engine overhaul and boatloads of new promised features that may or may not be completely broken at launch. They state that it's launching near the end of October, which I 100% fully believe because of Snail Games' contract with Nitrado servers. You can rest assured, they're not going to lose any more money in that deal, so regardless, ASA is releasing in whatever the fuck state it's in. It's going to be available on Xbox Series, PS5, and PC upon release, which is a drastic improvement from prior releases when things were randomly spaced apart. They talk about the reasoning for making ASA to begin with, and while some of this is pretty genuine, I think some of it is gout and greed as well. They start by saying that one of the reasons is to refine the development team's skill on UE5 for pushing out Ark 2's development even further, but in my opinion, this is complete bullshit. I don't deny the statement, but what I think is absurd is that Ark 2 has supposedly been in development for years now. Why would the design team need practice with an engine that they've been using for years? Unless, of course, there's hardly anything completed with Ark 2 at this point, and that trailer that every YouTuber plays on loop was nothing more than a paycheck for Vin Diesel. I do appreciate the fact that they say another reason is for generating revenue while they develop Ark 2, which is probably the most honest thing that they've ever said. The final reason is that Ark 2 is going to be vastly different from its predecessor, and they don't want to lose the loyal player base in the meantime. Plus, it gives them a chance to clean up all the spaghetti code that was in ASE, which I'm sure would be welcomed by everybody if it's done correctly. Next, they talk about how they're using the new technology that UE5 offers and the improvements they're bringing into the game. They start by saying Ark's codebase has been rewritten, which scares the hell out of me. This could be really good, or this could be a train wreck. ASA is going to feature advanced graphics like dynamic water and interactive foliage, cross-platform modding to leech more money out of the player base, and cross-platform multiplayer, which might be awesome or terrible if one system has an advantage over another. 11 new creatures have been promised over time, which, let's be honest, is becoming a bit absurd. We don't need more creatures in the game, we need more refined creatures. So many of the old tames are essentially worthless because of new mechanics and features that have been put in over the years, and I swear to God if they add more stuff to pull you off the back of your mount, I'm gonna lose my shit! A new minimap system, structures, gameplay items, whatever the hell that means, dynamic navigation meth and creature pathfinding, which could be massive, UI revamp, a new camera system, player assets with improved customization, and a brand new Dino Manager system. All of this stuff sounds great, if they can actually deliver on it and the servers run smoothly, but this is wildcard, so I'll keep my expectations pretty low at launch. There will be no pre-orders for the game, but they don't mention anything about early access that was announced before. More than likely it's going to be released in early access so that they can get away with selling a busted game, but we'll have to wait and see. The next few bits of the post talk about crossplay between systems, which really doesn't do a whole lot for me, but you guys can read through it if you'd like. They've changed servers to increase the stasis replication ranges for structures and dinos by about 70%, meaning that you can still see things from farther away before they pop out of render. They also talk about instanced rendering for their new structure tile sets, which could be a massive improvement for server performance and gameplay as a result. The servers will still be capped at 70 players for the time being, but they've mentioned that they might change that in the future. Now this question was quite interesting and will probably intrigue most of you watching. Given that ASA is a remaster of ASE, it's always been questioned what will be released in the game upon day one, and they spend a bit of time here clarifying it. For instance, rafts and the new Raniognafa will be available on day one, but tech creature variants and cryopods will not. This sort of tells me that they're going to release things in accordance with how the X-Packs released before, which is kind of good because that means that players can't have insane things right out the gate. They also talk about cave adjustments, but admit that they don't want to change too much about them at launch. Gameplay-wise, there's some pretty intriguing aspects. The new overhaul building system will be available immediately. Movement speed leveling is completely disabled for creatures and players on official servers, which I personally think is a solid move, but will surely tick off a lot of players who like to roleplay as Barry Allen. This kind of a change also inadvertently impacts things like the island note run, because you can no longer speed up the run by pumping points into movement speed. I have a feeling a lot of us are going to die to raptors right out the gate as well, which is not ideal. Small dino quality of life passes, breeding changes, and mutation changes, which sounds like may shift the meta around a bit. Character creation overhaul is something that they've talked about for months, and they reveal a tad bit more information here, but I can honestly say I'm not too pleased with it. They said how they wanted the characters to look less survival jank, but then completely changed their minds and are gonna let players do whatever they want anyways. Now normally I'm a big proponent of freedom in games to do whatever you want, but in this case I don't think it's a good idea. Ark has a very large PvP community, and when you start putting in sliders like this where they can do whatever they want, it typically leads to major issues between genders and body sizes. I made an entire video discussing and debunking character builds in ASE, and I have a feeling I'm going to have to remake that video for ASA thanks to this announcement. Gameplay? Not until October, so basically shut the fuck up and sit down, kid. I mean, why though? Just show some gameplay already. They touch on the subject of cheaters, but it's honestly just bloat text stating that they're gonna do their best in regards to cheating. Yeah, tell that to the Island Boys. And lastly is Survival of the Fittest 5.0, which they've now changed their minds on and will not be available at launch like they previously stated multiple times that it would be. I personally don't think this is a huge deal, but it just adds to the list of broken promises and changing opinions. So that's about it, people. There's a lot more in this post that I didn't go over, but those are the bullet points that stood out to me the most. If I missed anything crucial, then be sure to share it with the community in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts on all of this. Personally, I think ASA will be a solid game overall if they do the things they say they're going to do in the time frames that they say they're going to do it. I think some of the things that ASA is bringing on the table are very genuine upgrades made with love from the creative team, while other parts are clearly driven by greed from the higher-ups. As I've said before, I take nothing away from Wildcard Studio needing to make money to pay their employees and create more of the content that so many of us have enjoyed for thousands of hours over the years, but they could have approached this whole thing a whole lot differently. At this point in time, I do plan on purchasing ASA upon release, but I want to make it perfectly clear that I will be using my own money from my full-time job to do so. I will not be using any YouTube revenue or any of the money donated by my patrons to make this purchase, because I know some of you would not be happy with your support of my content and channel going to Snail Games. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave me a like down below, subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you can stay up to date on all of my latest content, join the Discord for a community of like-minded woodland creatures, and please keep leaving me comments because they warm my little bunna heart. A very special thank you goes out to all of the bunnas that support me on Patreon. You guys are amazing, and if you would like to support the channel and the content that I create, you can now do so for as little as $1 a month. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
Machines. Come and get your birthday present.
Using grapple.
Just giving my shields a recharge.
.42, got him.
Alright. Oh, this is way too sweaty for me. This is fun.
We have our
fun. I just got more stressed out than I've ever been. Like, what the fuck?
You just gotta hit your shot.
Hit my shots. I got 8 fucking kills.
Yeah, I did too.